Well, guys, I ended up selling my 2002 Silverado 2500 HD. For those of you who have been keeping up with the channel, you'll know that I listed that up for sale. I ended up getting 6,300 for it, so just about broke even on that deal. But anyway, that means I need to fix this guy up so I can have a capable work truck now, because as you guys know, this truck is stuck in second gear. So after I did a little more research on this truck and I spoke with the previous owner a little bit, it turns out that the transmission might not actually be bad. What happened was the original TH400 went bad in this, lost reverse. So he had a buddy swap in a 4L80E out of a 2000 Chevy 3500, and that transmission didn't have the wiring that that transmission had wiring that this truck didn't have, because this is an 89 GMC 3500 and that transmission was out of 2000. So this was, a manual valve body, and then the newer truck was a electrically controlled shifty kind of thing. So he didn't want to deal with it anymore, sold it to me for $1,000. And I did some research. I talked to a transmission shop, and apparently this easy TCU transmission controller will allow this 2000 4L80E to be controlled by this aftermarket computer instead of being controlled by the truck's computer, which this truck does not have. So if this ends up working, I will have a beautiful 1989 GMC K3500 all in for just $1,600, because I bought that kit for $600 and I got the truck for just $1,000. And of course, these trucks I could probably, list this for sale for whatever, $5,000. I of course got this truck. I expected I'd have to swap the whole transmission out, and I still thought it was a good deal. But if this works, it'll just be an amazing deal. So let's see if we can do it. All right, so here's the kit. Got a bunch of pages of directions here. Comes with a little computer control thing. I wish this was sponsored, but it's not. So consider subscribing to the channel, because I just had to spend $600 on this. And then it comes with this just rat's nest, whatever they call it, of wiring harness. And wiring is generally not my strong suit, but according to this website, even the amateur wirer can do it. So hopefully I can figure it out. Average installation time is about 2 to 3 hours, it says. We'll see if I actually end up doing that. I'll be surprised. I bet it's going to take me like 5 hours, because like I said, I'm not great at wiring. And then we got this stuff, so let's get started. Alright, so here's step one. Ignore the weather report in the background. So connect the positive and negative wire, that's this, directly to the battery. So let me do that. So I've wired the three up that are supposed to be directly to the battery up to the battery. Next we got to put this one directly onto the transmission, so I'll go ahead and do that now. There you can see, plugs right in the transmission right there. Alright, next we're going to get into the TPS, which is this wire here. And that is underneath this air box, air filter thing. There it is right down here. You can see I plugged it in. So next up is the RPM, or whatever they call it. What do they call it on here? RPM module, and tack in RPM module. This thing, whatever it is. And it comes with 2 connectors on it, but you don't need both. It's really easy. I don't know why they didn't just come with tacks in the first place on these cars, but there you go. Back here on the coil, take this white wire, just tapes back on itself, and you just plug the female one into this male one right here. So supposedly those are the main things that are needed. It just needs power, needs your RPM, needs your output speed, and it needs, plugged into the transmission. So now hopefully I could just plug in the little device thing and go through the setup wizard, and maybe it'll shift through the gears. The handheld here plugged in. I'm gonna go ahead and start the engine and see if we get the correct live data that we should be getting. Doesn't sound like she's running on all 8. Well, first of all, the engine didn't run as good as it was, so I probably tweaked something. I'll have to check that out. But you can see we got the tachometers right. It says we're doing 13 mile an hour. That's not right. Gear 1 sounds good though. I'm gonna have to check this out. Hang on. The engine running smoothly again. Apparently, I think the reason it was running rough was because I undid the TPS, the throttle position sensor. But it said I should do that in the manual. However, I think it'd be smarter if I just spliced into the existing TPS wires, because every time I unplug it and plug this into the TPS, it runs really rough. So we'll have to see. So I'm going to redo the TPS by just splicing into the reference wire, the one that goes up in voltage as you press the gas down. So for those of you who don't know, what I was doing there was I was finding which one the reference wire was. If you hook a multimeter up here while the battery's going, you have to shut off a little bit of the wire. As you can see, I stripped a little bit. And then you move this forward while the key's on. Whichever one goes up in voltage as you push the throttle more is the reference wire. So I found the reference wire, now we're going to splice into it. Well, there you go. That's them spliced together there. I'll put the air stuff back together. Let's start it up and see if it's running any smoother now. There she goes. She cleared right up. Running much better now. All right, let's run the codes. No errors. Good. Live data. The MPHs is still wrong. I'm still looking into that, but looks like the tachometer is working. Yeah. Alrighty. Alright, so the reason that my speedometer is weird is because, let me get under here, hang on a second. I accidentally, well not accidentally, but I put the sensor into the trans input up here. I put the speed sensor in the input sensor and I'm supposed to put it in the output sensor. However, this transmission is missing the output sensor. So you see that little black circle right there that's rubber? That's supposed to be an output sensor, and it's not there. However, the input one is here, and these are apparently the same exact sensors actually. So maybe I can plop this one in the back and take the rubber and put it in the front, and maybe that'll work. So I'll try that. Alrighty, well, you can see I switched the sensors. So let's see, back one now has a plug out of it instead of that thing, and then the front one, yeah, there's the front one. Now is the one that doesn't have the connector coming out of it. And the front one's the input sensor, the back one's the output sensor, so hopefully we don't need the input sensor. Alright, it looks like it's working for now at least. Mile per hour 0, and when I rev it up, it stays at 0. So now I'm just working on making the wiring neater. I'm not a neat wirer, but I'm working on it. I got this with the self-tapper, so I got it screwed into there. And we got these ones out of the way. All right, guys, I'm pretty excited. This is full transparency, so if it doesn't work, you're gonna see it at the same time I see it. All right, we'll put her down into drive. We're getting on the interstate now, so this will test out all my gears. I'll roll up my windows, hopefully you can hear it. All right, so we're in first, as you can hear. There's second. So hopefully you can hear it. Second. there's third. And I'll show you the screen. So we're doing 46 in third gear. Pretty high RPMs. Let's see if we can get fourth. There we go, there's fourth at 52. Oh, and there's the overdrive lockup. I just felt her kick in. Nice. All right, well, those are all the gears. Working well. Well, guys, I can't tell you how happy I am that that ended up working. I definitely, when I bought the truck, was not expecting to get that lucky. So the truck isn't 100% finished yet. I still got a couple things to do. For example, the trans was getting pretty hot. It was getting above 210 degrees, so I got to look into that. Maybe do a fluid flush or whatever. And, you know, clean some things up, especially with the wiring. But that's a majority of the work done. So basically, I got a running and driving 3500 with a brand new 4L80E in it, because the guy said he rebuilt the 4L80, or he got the 4L80E from a totaled truck, but the truck had a rebuilt transmission in it. So a new 4L80E in this truck, a good running 454, and it's a nice old body style dually, and I got it for just $1,000 plus the $600 kit. So I'm pretty stoked about the purchase. Hopefully we'll be able to use it for some work applications, or I'll end up selling it for a profit. But thank you for watching this video, guys, and I'll see you next week.